The best of downtown from 7 to 8 a.m. on Sports Radio 92.9 The Ticket and 929theticket.com. This is the best of downtown.
Well, hi there, and a good Sunday morning to you on the 28th day of September. Rich Kimball and Brian Stackpole on 92.9 The Ticket and 929theticket.com. It is the best of downtown, our look back at some of our favorite conversations of the previous week. We'll talk Patriots, NFL football today, a little Bruins hockey, and we'll talk with rap legend Coolio, all on today's show. Lots to come here in the next hour. We thank you for joining us on this early Sunday morning. We kick things off a conversation from Thursday's show when we talked the state of NFL football a few weeks into the season with Vinnie Iyer, who covers the NFL for the Sporting News.
Yeah, I mean, I think the least surprising of the 3-0 right now is Cincinnati with the schedule they've had and the ability to win 2 home games. They've become one of the best home teams in the NFL. And then you look at the Eagles, not too big of a surprise either, considering they were a playoff team and a division winner. So you look at those two teams, Arizona is definitely the big one. They're just getting it done the past 2 games without Carson Palmer in their quarterback. There's some real questions about the defense. They've really answered those early. So, yeah, it's surprises galore, but that's the start of every NFL season.
Who's been one of the more disappointing teams to you so far in the young season?
Well, I think it's a trio of teams that a lot of people, if you look around, have picked them to be the NFC Super Bowl team, and some winning it. The Packers, the Saints, the 49ers, they're all 1-2. They all have some pretty tough games this week. So you look at what they're going through, and they have to come through because everyone expects them to be right in the thick of things. But I think of all those teams, the Saints are in the best position to turn things around based on how their schedule opens up with a lot of home games still ahead.
We're talking with Vinnie Iyer of the Sporting News here on Downtown. It's been a rough couple of weeks for the league, but have they moved past the crisis stage with everything that's been going on off the field?
Well, I don't know if they've completely put it behind them. I mean, I think there's that black cloud. I think they've handled these 2 cases, the end of them with Rice and Peterson. I don't know how much more it can be done. Everyone's spoken. Everyone said sorry on all that has happened. I think now the question is going forward is Roger Goodell, and is any of this pressure going to get to him or to the owners to say there needs to be a change? And right now, if this continues the way it is, I can't see any change there, Commissioner.
Did the Ravens press conference the other day make things better or worse?
Well, I think it's just better in the case of owners and anyone involved in the organization not to talk too much about this. I mean, there's a way of doing damage control, and I think sometimes you can do more damage by speaking about something that's more obvious. You know that the Ravens and the NFL didn't handle this well. I don't think you have to do this a roundabout explanation that doesn't really be short and sweet and just keeps rambling the way Steve Bisciotti did. So I think they just need to move on. I think everyone has said their sorries, and they can only do the best they can in going forward with these types of cases.
Well, do you think the league officials, certainly the owners, are just holding their breath and hoping that there isn't another incident here in the next few weeks?
Well, I think, yeah, that's definitely the case, especially with a notable player. But I think more than that is if something happens again, that everyone does it right from the beginning. They take a more aggressive approach, team-wise, league-wide-wise, to take care of it and really make sure that public perception doesn't go down this way it did with Goodell here.
Vinnie Iyer, Sporting News, with us here on Downtown. And Vinnie, you write about fantasy football as well. Who are a couple of guys to grab that might be on the waiver wire this week that smart owners should keep an eye open for?
Well, I think you want to start doing the running back speculation game. I mean, Alfred Blue still might be out there in some leagues behind Aaron Foster. We knew it was some time where he would hurt his hamstring again and go down, and that happened. He may not play again this week, and maybe look at a guy in Minnesota, Jerick McKinnon, a rookie that we're waiting for them to kind of unleash him a little bit as an explosive back in that offense. They really need some playmakers. So that's for you deeper people. And even digging a little deeper is Brandon Oliver out there in San Diego. He was pretty dynamic in the preseason, kind of a Darren Sproles throwback a little bit. And now he gets a chance maybe as that passing back in San Diego with Danny Woodhead out for the season. So these are some deep options that can get pretty thin at running back. And one other guy to look at is Lorenzo Talafero, see if he can keep it up there as the Ravens' new running back.
And that was Vinnie Iyer of the Sporting News talking about all things NFL and a little touch of fantasy football with us on Downtown with Rich Kimball back this past Thursday. You're listening to the Best of Downtown here for the 20th day of September 2014. Glad to have you alongside with us again for this edition of the program. Coming up later on, we'll hear from our classic downtown interview with the rapper Coolio. We'll also check in from the Kansas City Chiefs perspective with Terez Paylor to get a little preview of the game coming up tomorrow night. And we'll hear from Michael Hurley of CBS Boston on all things Boston sports. But we got to take this first break here of the program. When we come back, we'll talk a little ice hockey. The Boston Bruins starting their preseason slate. Just be a couple short weeks before they're into regular season action. So we'll talk to Mike about how the Bruins are shaping up here in the early parts of the season. Break approaching. We'll be back on the other side here on the Best of Downtown Sports Radio 92.9 The Ticket.
It's the Best of Downtown, a previously recorded edition of the program on your Sunday morning. Be sure and follow Downtown on Twitter at DowntownRichK. We're on Facebook, too, Downtown with Rich Kimball. Up next on our Sunday morning program, our conversation from earlier this week, Mike Miccoli, who covers hockey for AlongTheBoards.com and the Hockey Writers. We caught up with Mike on the occasion of the Bruins' first exhibition game of the preseason as they were taking on the Montreal Canadiens.
You know, it just seems fitting that, especially after the way that last season ended, that you start the preseason in Montreal. You're playing a meaningless game. It's the first one of the season. That's quite the way for hockey to return.
Oh, absolutely. Well, let's start with the roster, which remains in flux for the Bruins here, and let's start with the holdouts. No change in any contract status as we hit the air today. Yeah,
still no change. The last that Shirley and Julian both spoke of it is that there hasn't been any type of progress made. It's starting to become a little bit concerning because you do want to get those two players into camp as soon as possible just to get them acclimated and get them ready for any type of action, especially after a pretty long off season.
What are the chances they can keep both these guys in the fold? And if they do, does that mean somebody else has to go?
Yeah, for sure. I think they definitely would need to free up some cap space, and they would definitely have to make a trade in order to bring back both Riley Smith and Torrey Krug. I think for right now you're looking at probably bridge contracts for both, maybe a year or two, at the very most 3 years for both players, maybe anywhere in between the 2.5 to on the higher end of the $3.5 million annual value. But you do have to free up some cap space. Right now, after they put Mark Savard on the long-term injured reserve, they're going to have about $3.8 million. That will not be enough to sign both of them. So what do they package? A few players with lower salary, or they try to get rid of another player that has a bit of a larger salary? That's going to be the question for Peter Chiarelli going forward. Well,
and obviously the roster will be going through some changes, and you wrote about it on the Hockey Writers. You talked about 5 guys most likely to crack the Bruins lineup. Can you talk about a few of those guys that we want to keep our eyes on during the preseason?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously David Pastrnak is probably going to be the most important one, if anything, because he's probably going to be the flashiest, most attractive prospect that the Bruins have at the moment. Whether or not he makes the opening night roster, I think that's kind of, I'm really up in the air because I don't believe that he should, but I think at the end of the day, Peter Chiarelli will pull the trigger and put him into the roster. But guys for sure that I think will make it, I think Matt Fraser's a lock. I think you're going to see him definitely in the roster, and I think after all these seasons of finally waiting, Ryan Spooner will probably be the other one that makes the opening night roster as well.
Jordan Caron, a guy who clearly hasn't found his spot yet with the team. What's his future?
That's a great question. I think that he's going to be an extra forward on the team for right now. He would have to go through waivers. So if he did not make the team right away from camp and they sent him down to Providence, he would have to pass through waivers. And there is a possibility that another team does try to pick him up. So he's definitely in flux right now. I don't know if he's going to have a regular role. But in the same breath, it's a proven commodity. They know what to expect out of Jordan Caron. they know what they're getting. They don't know what they're going to get out of Pasternak or Ryan Spooner or any other prospect for that example, I guess you could say.
We're talking hockey. Mike Miccoli along the boards, and of course the hockey writers tonight. The Bruins up in Montreal to open the exhibition season against the Canadiens. There are certainly questions, but what are the things that we know? What can we feel safe saying about this year's edition of the Bruins?
I would say nothing's for certain, to be honest with you. I think that for right now, you're going to be seeing a bit of a culture change with the Bruins. I think gone are the big bad Bruins that you've seen recently in the past 3 or 4 years. And, obviously Sean Doran is probably headlining that. And while it was time for him to go and it was time for the Bruins to make a culture change and to get faster and to get more scores in the lineup, you're going to lose some of that quote-unquote grit and toughness. So I think going forward, it's going to be a bit of a flashier Bruins team, which it's going to be fun to watch. And the league is starting to go into that direction, especially in the division. Their two biggest rivals, I think, going forward, obviously the Canadiens, but the Tampa Bay Lightning. Those two teams will definitely be the two threats to the Bruins. So matching them with speed and with guys that can score, that's definitely what they want to do. And they have the prospects to do it. So it'll be interesting to watch, but I think it's going to have a little bit of a different feel than the past few seasons has.
How much pressure is there on Brad Marchand this season to finally step up and have the type of year Bruins fans and management have been expecting?
I think there's a good amount. I don't foresee him being one of the names that you hear about as a potential trade target for this season. However, next season they're going to have to make some decisions. They're going to have to make some decisions with Carl Soderberg being a free agent, with Dougie Hamilton being a free agent. If Johnny Boychuk is still on the team, he is a free agent. And Brad Marchand he's a name that people will want, and he is a player that they could get a pretty large return for. So I think for this season, he's kind of come across as a player that takes a while to get going, but you can see him scoring anywhere from 25 to 30 goals. I think that's going to be the average for him going forward. Whether or not he's reached his ceiling, and we've seen him play the best of his hockey that he will in his career. I think that's what we're going to have to look for this season. But for right now, I think just him balancing that line between being an agitator on the ice, but without taking too many stupid penalties, I think that's something he definitely needs to work on this season.
Does the team look to maybe lighten the workload at all for Tuukka Rask this year?
They had Nicholas Svedberg coming in as a backup. I don't think it's going to be Malcolm Subban. So he'll probably see the same amount of starts that Chad Johnson saw last year. I think they're going to ease Svedberg in. He is a rookie in the NHL, even though he did play a handful of games in the past few seasons. But this would technically be a rookie season for him. So I think it's going to be the same type of workload as you saw last season, where Rask will probably get anywhere from 65 to 70 starts, with Svedberg taking the remainder.
On the big picture of the NHL announcing a new Winter Classic for this year, hockey at Yankee Stadium. What do you think of that?
That'll be pretty neat. I think that the one that everyone here is waiting for, at least, is waiting to hear if there's going to be a Winter Classic or an outdoor series game as far as at Foxborough Stadium with the Bruins and the Canadiens, has been reported earlier this season. And really haven't heard too much about that, but I think that's something to definitely keep an eye on. The Bruins definitely want an outdoor game.
And that was Mike Miccoli of Along the Boards and HockeyWriters.com talking a little Boston Bruins and NHL talk with us here on Downtown. You're listening to the best of Downtown here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Ticket. Coming up this afternoon at 12:30, the pregame show leading you up into a 1 o'clock broadcast right here on The Ticket. And then coming up tonight will be the Sunday night affair. New Orleans takes on Dallas. And again, you can hear that game right here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Ticket. We'll take another break here on the program. When we come back on the other side of that break, we'll hear from a legendary rapper and one of our favorite interviews that we've ever had. Yes, the Coolio interview coming up next year as you're listening to the best of Downtown here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Ticket.
Best of Downtown on your Sunday morning. Rich Kimball, Brian Stackpole here. on 92.9 The Ticket and 92.9theticket.com.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize
There you go, one of the biggest selling rap songs in history. Coolio's classic Gangsta's Paradise. And on Thursday, we had that guy on the show, Coolio. Well, we pride ourselves on having a great variety of guests, and we love guests from the world of entertainment. It was tremendous to have Coolio on, and Stack, certainly one of the most memorable conversations we've had now in our 3+ years.
Yeah, there's some memorable for good, and there's memorable for bad, and I think Coolio was definitely for the good, and one that's going to be with me for a long time.
Well, and the best part of it was, as you'll hear, we actually got Coolio to help us after the fact, but nonetheless, to help us make sure we made the right decision in our downtown throwdown rap battle. So that's part of this conversation is Coolio assessing the crazy mad rap skills of Alan Adams and Brian Sullivan. Here's our conversation from Thursday with Grammy Award-winning rapper Coolio.
No problem, man. Glad to be here.
Man, I'm looking back, and it's hard for me to believe it's been 20 years since It Takes a Thief, still one of the best-selling rap albums of all time. Has that time flown by quickly for you?
You know, it has some. You know, time sped up though. You know, after we had that big earthquake when the tectonic plates hit together real hard. What was that? When we had the tsunami, you know, time sped up after that. Like the earth is moving faster in revolutions now.
Absolutely. Why is it?
That's actually a scientific fact.
I mean, you've been doing this for such a long time. How come, after all these years, your music, not everybody who in music stands up over the test of time, but after 20 years, your music sounds as fresh and as current as ever. What is it about what you do?
I always try to do, dated music, or, doing songs about things that were happening for that time, or make a reference to years or stuff like that. When I do music, I just try to do stuff from the heart and do stuff that people think about every day. And people have the problems that I talked about. People having are the same problems people still have today. So that's why.
Well, absolutely. And you've done so many other things through the years. You've done a lot of acting, some television. Do you enjoy that as much as making music?
I think I like music. I think I enjoy music more. I enjoy music more because, it's more. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more. It's from the heart. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of times we're acting. I mean, a lot of stuff in acting. They have you playing parts, and you're like, really? Am I really doing this?
Well, and also showed your cooking skills too with Rachel and Guy, the Celebrity Cook-Off. You did real well. Runner-up to Lou Diamond Phillips on that. What was that experience like?
I got robbed, man. Come on now. Lou Diamond could not cook me if he lived to be 1,000. Come on, he know that too. He knows. He had a better restaurant than me. His food wasn't better than mine. But I mean, if you go back and look at the last episode, man, come on, he got all the good decorations. He got the good tablecloths. He got all the good stuff. And then his side of the room was clean and blue. My side of the room was like some throw up, like brown, dirty, yellow, orange. Yeah, it wasn't even a real color. I don't even know what that was.
We're talking with Coolio here on Downtown. You've done a lot of work for charities through the years, and especially along with your friend Terez, you've done a lot of work with environmental justice and climate change. Can you talk about why that's important to you?
Well, I always try to do stuff, for other people, whether they deserve it of it or not. I always try to do stuff for other people, but I think the thing, with climate change, I'm not absolutely sure about climate change anymore because I've been doing some research on that, and we just entered a new age. Whether I don't know how many people know that out there, but we just entered the age of Aquarius. Aquarius, we entered the water age, so there's going to be more water on the planet, which means the planet's going to be hotter. And I think it's a natural process in the rotations and revolutions of the Earth and the Sun through the solar system. I think that it's a normal thing. So, because of that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this climate, this global warming thing. Now, I know we do have a hole in our ozone, though.
Absolutely.
But I think that with the universe being what it is and Mother Nature being what she is, I think that'll take care of itself sometime soon.
We're talking to Coolio here on Downtown. We're going to talk about your new project in a moment, but we need your help. Can you lend us a hand for a moment?
Sure.
All right. We did this contest here with some local writers from the newspaper and TV guys, and we had them try and rap. And we're trying to pick a winner in this thing. And I wondered if you'd be willing to listen to just a few seconds of these awful amateur raps and see if you could let us know who you think is better. Could you do that with us?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. Let's go with the first one here. We'll give you just a sample of this.
Okay.
Straight out of Bangor, crazy mother named Alan, dropping words, mad flowing by the gallon. When I write it, you can't fight it. Light a match and you'll ignite it. You step Jabron, you're gonna see what happens when councilmen mess with me. Ain't no lie. You want to be a hero, but you're Jar Jar. You ain't no Solo.
All right, that's our first one. What'd you think of that, Coolio?
I don't know. Let me hear some more.
You want to hear some more? We'll give you a little more of that. All right.
I'll tell you what I think afterwards.
Be a hero, but you're Jar Jar. You ain't no Solo. Sitting with the council, taking a
He's all right. He's all right.
All right.
He's all right. I mean, for somebody that don't rap, he took the little NWA style and kind of flipped it a little bit.
Yeah, all right. Well, here's the competition.
The next person will have to really come with it to beat him.
All right, well, here's the other one. We'll give you a shot. This guy's a TV sportscaster. Let's see how he does.
Sports, I do that. I thought that you knew that. Along with the late news, be sure that you view that. Made football, I'm on it, and handsome, you got it. Up against Jeff Solari, he doesn't scare me. He's a friend of mine, but way past his prime. I'm the king on the throne, and he can watch me shine. He's a friend of mine, but way past his prime. Works at Rubin, which only worries about his lawyer's time. Saying sue that.
What do you think of that one, Coolio?
He was hella offbeat.
Well, we suggested that
he wasn't in the pocket, man. He wasn't riding the beat right. I'm gonna give him a D minus.
All right, so you like the first one better?
I like the first one better. Yes.
That's what the judges said.
It?
That's it. Yeah, that was it right there. Glad to get your expertise. Now,
Whitner's definitely the first guy.
Oh, yeah.
He rode the beat. He was in pocket. You know what I'm saying? He had a concept. He tried to come with something that that was real. And the other dude, first of all, he messed up because he tried to use a female style, and that was a mistake right away. Trying to use Iggy Azalea style. I mean, it just didn't work out for him.
That's why we call in the experts. We're talking to Coolio here on Downtown. You got a brand new project working with Pornhub Records, and tell us about what you can on a family show here about the new song. That's new song and video. It's about pleasure, right?
Yeah. Well, it's first of all, let everybody know that. Excuse me, that I don't have a record deal with Pornhub. I'm not doing an album with Pornhub. Okay, it was one song. Okay. Now maybe I might do another song with them in the future. Who knows? But for right now it was a one-off, and it was something that they thought might be a good idea. I thought might be a good idea. I thought it was funny. And the song is called "Take It to the Hub." Basically, it's a song about going to Pornhub and watching it and
doing what you do.
Pleasuring yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can check it out.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm not really into that so much, but I don't even watch porn. I don't even. They had to tell me who the porn stars was because the only person I knew was Vanessa Del Rio. She's from the '80s. I don't know nobody. I know Vanessa Del Rio, and I know what's that one girl name? The one girl that was messing around with Tito Ortiz.
Oh, geez, I don't know. I know even less about it than you do.
Jenna Jameson.
Oh, Jenna Jameson. Well, she's a legend, sure. Yeah. All right.
See, she was a friend. She used to, we used to hang out with her sometimes. Her and Tito. So that's how I know her. But I mean, other than that, I don't really know. But I met them. They were nice, man. They do that for a job, and when they're not doing the job, they're semi-normal. I'm not saying they was all the way normal, but they were semi-normal.
I love it.
When the camera wasn't on.
All right. Okay, Coolio, it is awesome. So great to have you on. We appreciate you making time for us. Thanks for helping us judge our rap contest, and we wish you continued success. Thanks again for calling in.
Not a problem, man. Hey, y'all come check me out on CoolioWorld.com. That's my website. Check me out at Coolio. It's at Twitter. At Coolio on Twitter. It's at Coolio on my Instagram, and it's www.Coolio/Facebook or something like that.
All right, we're all over.
Type in Coolio on Facebook, and I got about 3 pages.
We love it. Thanks, Coolio. We'll talk again, I hope. Thanks.
And that was the definitive Coolio interview from downtown this past Thursday. We've been trying to get Coolio on the line for weeks and weeks and weeks now to be our celebrity judge in the Downtown Throwdown. A little bit late, around 2 weeks or so later than we would have hoped to have Coolio on the program, but that definitely lived up to expectations. Just so much to digest, from his views on global warming, his career. I mean, one of the greatest rappers of all time, with A Fantastic Voyage and Gangster's Paradise, going to some of his work in film and TV, not to mention his reality TV show stuff, Celebrity Big Brother over in the UK, and of course the cooking show on Food Network, which he again says that 9 times out of 10, he beats Lou Diamond Phillips in that contest. So it was just a lot to digest there. He also talked about his new venture and gave some opinions on Allen and Brian Sullivan, and we really appreciate his time. And again, love Coolio, always been a big fan, even more of a fan after listening to that interview this past Thursday on Downtown. And if you love great interviews too, coming up later on next week, or this upcoming week here on Downtown with Rich Kimball, we'll have one of our favorite guests, I believe making his 3rd or 4th appearance, I believe it's 3rd, Eddie Money will be joining us, so the Money Man on Downtown coming up on either Tuesday or Wednesday of this upcoming week. Another break approaching here on the Best of Downtown show. When we come back after that break on the other side, we'll talk a little New England Patriots, Kansas City Chiefs football, and preview that one from the Kansas City perspective with Terez Paylor of the Kansas City Star. That coming up after the break here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Ticket.
I know you want to leave me, but I refuse to let you go. If I have to beg, plead for your sympathy, I don't mind, 'cause you mean that.
We're not too proud to beg here, and make sure you listen to Downtown Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m., 92.9 The Ticket. Sunday mornings, we recap the week and our favorite guests on the Best of Downtown, a previously recorded edition of the program. I'm Rich Kimball. Brian Stackpole here with you as well, 92.9 The Ticket and 92.9theticket.com. Patriots getting set for a Monday night game this week as they take on the Kansas City Chiefs, and we had a chance to get things from the Kansas City perspective on Thursday's show as we talked with Terez Paylor, who covers the Chiefs for the Kansas City Star.
Yeah, you know what? He did. And that's just an indication of how far those guys have come. I mean, with Morgan, you got a guy who was a free agent 2 months ago. And now he's a guy who's green dotted. He's a guy who calls the plays. And James Michael Johnson, the guy that got off waivers from Cleveland before last season. And he was a 4th-round pick the year before that they just let go. They gave up on. So those are 2 guys with something to prove. They obviously have growth to make, but it seems like they're pretty happy with their progress.
Now, the Dolphins did have some success running the football. Do you think, especially with the Patriots struggling some in their pass game, that they may take a look at that and try to emphasize the run a little bit more on Monday night?
Yeah, Bill Belichick doesn't miss much, does he, guys?
No.
So, kind of based on that, I'd really be surprised if they didn't try to establish the run against these guys and see if they've improved their discipline. Both guys, they kind of over-pursue a little bit. Though Morgan's better against the run than Johnson. That's something that can be exploited if they don't get fixed.
Offensively, of course, a big blow losing Jamal Charles. What's the latest status with him? Will he be available for Monday night?
Well, we don't know yet. I get a lot of people asking me this question for fantasy reasons, but guys, we're not going to know, for a while here. He practiced today. He looked fine to me. He practiced a little bit last week too, though, and he didn't play. So that's just one of those things where we're going to see, because I don't expect them to go, announcing that decision far before the game. So I expect that one to go right up to game time.
Well, the good news is Niall Davis has stepped in and played very well. That's been a real good boost for the club.
Yeah, Niall Davis is an interesting back. I mean, he's a fast guy. He gets upfield quick. He's shifty. He's powerful. 5'11", 230. He got some explosion, got some explosiveness. Not a guy that's gonna just house it all the way, 70 yards, but I mean he can get those big chunks. And he's really improved his vision as a runner. He's got his holes though. I mean he's got to improve his pass pro. He's got to improve his hands. He fumbled a couple times. I mean he's still got a ways to go before he becomes an all around back like Jamal is. But as a runner, it doesn't seem like they lose a ton with him in there because he's got some natural ability.
Patriots have beefed up their defense, of course, with Darrelle Revis back there, and the secondary certainly have made that a stronger unit than last year. Do the Chiefs feel like Alex Smith can be successful throwing the ball against this Patriots team?
Well, we're going to have to see. I think Andy Reid's got an ability to call a good enough game to where you can kind of neutralize some of the advantages the Patriots have in this area. But then again, Bill Belichick's a great defensive mind, so that's going to be a great battle between two really master play callers. Alex Smith is really good on short and intermediate routes. He didn't throw a pass over 10 yards last week, and he completed 19 to 25 passes for 186 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, one thing we know about Belichick, he's going to take away what you do best. And one thing the Chiefs do best is the short passing game and the screen. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs had to go up top a little bit to loosen things up.
We're talking with Terez Paylor of the Kansas City Star. Monday Night Football, the Chiefs and the Patriots coming up. Last year, the great start for Kansas City and a bit of a disappointing finish. This year, struggling through the first couple of games. Last week, the impressive victory over the Miami Dolphins. Does it feel like the team has righted the ship and they're headed in a good direction going forward?
Yeah, it does. It does. Anytime you get a win in the NFL locker room, it's a much different feeling, and you can tell these guys are really just happy to kind of get off the schneid. They're just happy to finally get one in the win column, because there was a sense of not dread or anything, but guys were quiet leading up to that game. You could tell that there was a real focus on not starting 0-3. That is pretty much a death knell in this league. So there's definitely more optimism this week. You can already tell.
Well, folks here in Maine have been following Kansas City since Mike DeVito joined the Chiefs, but boy, he's had one bad luck break after another. Last year an injury, this year going down again for the second straight year. Is he still thinking about trying to come back for another year, or could this be the end of the line for Mike DeVito?
Well, I haven't heard anything that will lead me to believe he won't be back next year. He had a really nice year last year as a run stopper. He was a big part of what they do. I know an Achilles injury is a serious thing, but Mike DeVito is one of those guys who loves football. So I'd be a little surprised if he just hung it up after this year. I don't think this is the way a guy like DeVito will want to go out.
And that was Terez Paylor of the Kansas City Star giving us the Kansas City Chiefs perspective of the upcoming game between them and the New England Patriots, which will be coming to the airwaves right here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Ticket, starting at 5:30 with a pregame show on Monday evening. So downtown will be just 90 minutes, but again, makes complete sense when you have that tremendous game leading up with all the great pregame coverage 3 hours or so before kickoff on Monday night. So looking forward to that one. And again, you can hear all that coverage right here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Ticket, as it's a big one for the New England Patriots trying to get their record to 3-1 on the season. We'll take another break here on the program. On the other side, one of our favorites, Michael Hurley of CBS Boston, will be joining us to talk about the Red Sox, the Patriots, the Bruins, and so much more. That after the break here on Sports Radio 92.9.
Sunday morning Best of Downtown, previously recorded program on your radio dial.
I guess you wonder where I've been.
Rich Kimball and Brian Stackpole with you. One of our favorite guys to have on the show is Michael Hurley, CBS Boston. It works for everybody in Boston, seemingly. TV, radio, does a little of everything down there. And we love having Michael on. He's a great follow on Twitter as well at Michael F. Hurley. And he chatted about, everything, NFL, Red Sox, and more in our conversation from earlier this week.
Oh, there's just nothing I love more than hockey that doesn't count with guys that we'll never see again. It's truly an event. So, yeah, I can't wait. Especially this one's not even on TV, so it will only exist on a flood of tweets. So it should be fun.
Well, you look forward to this. It's been a while since you've had those hockey tweets.
It is. It's going to be an interesting transition because it always comes on fast. I mean, they're already playing a game, so I feel like they just started camp 10 minutes ago. So it's a fast progress for the Bruins.
Well, let's talk about where your passion truly lies. Everybody's wondering about the Patriots. What's wrong? How can we fix things? Is it Tom Brady? Where to begin? But you've solved the problem, and it's simple. You got to love the stork.
Exactly. You got to release the stork. You got to let the stork out of his cage and let him do what he has to do. It's almost ridiculous at this point that it took almost three and a half quarters the other day for the Patriots to realize they needed to change. Or you have a guy who won the award for being the best center in college football last year, who centered the undefeated national championship team, just standing there, while Jordan Devey, who we learned down here yesterday, there was some investigation into his background. He played at a place called Snow College. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. So he didn't play football in high school either, Jordan Devey. And you have Brian Stork standing there on the sidelines because he missed a week and a half of practice in preseason. So he went in. He's a better player, and I think he's going to help. I think if none of us expected the Ryan Wendell injury to be so big to the Patriots season, so you'd think with Wendell coming back at some point and Stork being in there, they'd be a little bit more solid than they were last weekend, the whole season, really.
Should Patriots fans be concerned about this team, or is this just a phase they're going through? And can we continue to have faith in Bill? Will he get them there?
The defense is number 3. That's good. They've played 3 of the worst offenses in the league, but they've answered the task in front of them. So they shouldn't be in the position to get blown out at least. And if that's the case, then the offense doesn't need to be as good as maybe we're used to seeing it around here. We don't need them to have a top 5 offense. What they do need to have is a much more capable offense that doesn't just rely on Julian Edelman, because he's not going to survive the season at this rate, where just about every ball gets thrown to him. So I think there's reason for hope, because the defense is good enough that the offense doesn't need to be great. But if the offense stays like this, there is no hope, because if you're in a 60-minute struggle with the Raiders, you're in a bad spot.
Is there a problem that the quarterback doesn't seem to trust anybody not named Edelman or Gronkowski?
It's definitely there's definitely something to that, but also Sunday I actually was there. It was their first home game, so I finally got to see the whole field rather than just watching on TV. And there were no moments where you're yelling, "Oh, LaFell's open," or "Amendola's open, get it to him." They're really not getting open, and I don't know. It might be a function of the play calling. It might be a function of not assessing each player's strengths. There's been players that have had trouble integrating into this offense in the past, so maybe Josh McDaniels isn't designing plays that benefit Brandon LaFell the best, or he should work well with Danny Amendola. He's worked with him before, but there's nothing there where Brady is intentionally going away from guys who are open. So there might be some sort of trust issue, but I think it's bigger than that. I think it's just an offense that isn't functioning as well as it should be. So I don't know how they fix it. McDaniels hasn't always been the most creative play caller in my mind, so it's time to get working, because it's not going to work with just one receiver as your only option.
We're talking with Michael Hurley, CBS Boston. So after Friday, I thought Roger Goodell might be the most insincere public figure out there today, and then the Ravens had their press conference yesterday. Bisciotti, that's a unique skill set right there to come across even less sincere than Roger Goodell.
Yeah, maybe it was more sincere in a way, because he clearly just doesn't care. He clearly has no real compassion for anyone in the situation, and he was sitting up there drinking his water, smiling, kind of laughing at the idea that he did anything wrong. So, I found the whole thing just to be disgusting. I thought it's an organization that clearly created lies to help make themselves look better when they didn't need to, and now that they just keep making it worse and worse and worse. And I thought for them to come out with their statement yesterday was just, I wrote about it. We don't have to get into the details of it, but it's just they keep making it worse. So hopefully they're done making it worse, but I don't know where they go from here, because they might, if they think they solved their PR problems yesterday, they clearly have no idea what they're doing.
They might not. How would you rank these three people on the I don't want to see them speak publicly again list? Roger Goodell, Steve Bisciotti, Ray Lewis.
Well, I actually would like to hear Ray Lewis keep talking because it's at least funny. I mean, the guy actually is in a position of great power where he says stupid stuff that affects lots of people with a lot of money. So Ray can keep talking. Ray's at the top of that list. The other two, Goodell was basically a robot up there on Friday. I think you should at least be able to be a public speaker as a commissioner, and he failed that test. So I think for as bad as Bisciotti was, I think Goodell tops my list as guys that probably shouldn't step to the podium anytime soon.
6 games left in the season for the Boston Red Sox. Is there any reason, anything compelling that would pull you to watch the Sox between now and Sunday?
It was actually last Friday night. It was 7:56. I looked at the clock and I said, "Oh, the Red Sox might be playing." So they were just completely out of my consciousness. It turns out they were. So I caught maybe a couple innings, and there's not. Maybe if Jeter comes to town this weekend, there's a reason to give a glance every now and then. But it got to that point. I wrote maybe like a month and a half ago, 5 reasons or 10 reasons to keep watching the Red Sox. Watching Christian Vasquez behind the plate, things like that. Things that are at least enticing from a pure baseball perspective. But it's just gotten so bad that I can't even endorse that. So what you do with your time on the league nights, this is one maybe the last nice week weather-wise of the year. So I'm going to seek to enjoy it more than I will to sit down and watch all the baseball games.
And that was Michael Hurley of CBS Boston with us earlier in the week of Downtown with Rich Kimball. You can hear the Downtown program weekdays, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m., and you can do so including tomorrow evening. It'll be a little bit of an abbreviated show due to Patriots football. It is 4 to 5:30 on Monday, but then again, normal hours the rest of the week as we get you ready for the next matchup. Not only with the New England Patriots, we'll preview and recap that on Monday and Tuesday, but also get you a set for the next contest for the New England Patriots as they get ready to move deeper and deeper into their schedule. And we'll also talk about another CAA foe for the Black Bears this weekend coming up as they take on the Villanova Wildcats in the return back to Alphonse Stadium. We'll take our final break on this Best of Downtown program for the 28th day of September 2014, and when we come back on the other side, we'll preview what's to come on Monday's edition of Downtown with Rich Kimball and wrap this show up nicely for you. We'll do that right when we come back after the break here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Ticket.
Whatsoever I feel has come to life, and whatsoever I thought.
Getting set to wrap it up here on Downtown, the best of show for a Sunday morning. Rich Kimball, Brian Stackpole on 92.9 The Ticket.
Never thought about tomorrow.
Jay Giles coming to the Cross Center later on this fall, along with Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. See if we can get some of those guys on the show. That sure would be fun. Hey, thanks to everybody with us today on the Best of Downtown. Vinnie Iyer of the Sporting News, hockey writer Mike Miccoli from AlongTheBoards.com and the Hockey Writers, Terez Paylor, the Kansas City Star, Mike Hurley from CBS Boston, and rap legend Coolio for being with us as well. Yes, you heard right. That's going to do it for today. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, Dale Duff, Clem Labrie will get you started with the morning pitch at 6 a.m. We're back with a live program tomorrow afternoon at 4, kicking off a big week among the guests on Monday's show. Maine football coach Jack Cosgrove. We'll talk Patriots football and help preview the Monday night game with Kansas City. We'll check in with our friend Nick Coit, who covers the team out of Providence, Rhode Island. Alan Adams of the Maine Edge, movie reviews on our Pass the Popcorn segment. Plus a look at the weather with Steve McKay. Later on in the week, Eddie Money makes a return visit to downtown as well. That's coming up midweek on the show. Hope you enjoy your Sunday and the rest of your weekend. Thanks for being with us and spending part of your Sunday morning with us. We'll catch you again tomorrow afternoon at 4 downtown here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Ticket.
No, downtown, just listen to the music of the traffic in the city. Linger on the sidewalk where the neon signs are pretty. How can you lose? The lights are much brighter there. You can't forget all your troubles, forget all your cares, so go downtown.